podcast is some ratchet shit, baby.
Somebody tried to tell me to be humble, okay?
Bitch, what? But humble gets you nowhere.
It's Demi and Kay. We dropping jewels every day. Come take a listen. This room in my kitchen. We cook with whatever we say. Nah, no little mama. We not telling you what to do. We just want y'all to think a little different, so we delivering the truth. This shit is for proof, man. Let us be the goofs, man. Learn from my fuck ups. Get your shit right. Focus on you, man. You a god in your own right. Gotta just rewrite your life. No one has the power to dim your shit. Don't let them bitches fight.
We handling pressure.
We dropping jewels.
We changing hearts.
And we breaking rules.
We schooling life.
Bitches just us two.
We dropping jewels.
Ooh, yeah, we dropping jewels.
Ooh, come and kick it. Cheers up while we speeding. Just to mess, we always blessed. Yeah, baby, we living. Hear this wisdom. These jewels is always giving. The keys of life, cause it's your right. Please don't come up missing, cause when life get hard. Gotta make the move it. Gotta follow your heart. And know your inner jewels. Drop it like it's hot. No, it's life in you. Pressure makes diamonds. Tune in, come get these jewels.
We just want y'all to
Listen.
30 minutes of us tripping. We dropping some jewels, creating less fools. Oh, while we
Sipping.
We just want y'all to
Listen.
30 minutes of us
Tripping.
These jewels are for you, cause we learned them, boo. Let's talk about it, what we
Sipping. Ooh.
It's split.
Ooh.
Give me shit. Come on, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Eloquent evening.
God and goddesses.
It's your girl Jay, also known as Jay Demi, and I'm here with the best co-host with the fucking most.
It's your girl K Bex, and I'm here with my gorgeous sis.
And we're gonna fuck it up again and drop a jewel. Maybe one, maybe two. As y'all know, we gonna talk a lot and do what we do, and then we gonna drop a motherfucking jewel. Thanks for coming back for week 2. Code switching, black faces, and
Corporate spaces.
that part. So we talked about a lot first episode. If you did not catch episode 1 about this topic, please go back. Last week we dropped it, so it's there and it's fresh waiting for you. We'll wait. Thanks for coming back. Cheers to you. And okay, so last episode we kind of just tapped into the general definition of code switching, and we left off kind of on whether or not Black people are required to code switch in corporate and professional spaces. I don't think you gave your take on it. I think I
did.
Did you? Okay.
I said that we have to do it to get to a bigger bag.
Okay. Yes. Simply, I love the way it's so simply, so smooth. Okay. All right. So, like I told y'all before, this episode we're gonna jump into kind of our personal experiences with code switching. And Kay, I'm gonna start with you. What's the first time that you think you code switch? I know probably at the time you didn't realize that that's what you were doing. Because I know that that's how it happened with me. I didn't realize I was code switching, and then later on I found out that it had a name. Well, as far as you can recall, what's the first time you experienced code switching?
I think I would say 4th or 5th grade. And it's weird because...
Yeah, because that's I didn't expect her to say that, y'all. I'm not even about to hold y'all. I didn't expect her to say 4th or 5th grade, but I'm here for it.
Is this program called Stepping Stones, where it takes inner city kids in Philadelphia area. I believe Baltimore is one of them too. But basically they take inner city youth and you go to school basically all year. So I go to my regular public school education, and then I do summer enrichment, where it's basically like it's just school. And the goal is to try to get you into a private school that most of us can't afford to get into. So it tries to.
But people don't like to talk about that. But
it tries to get you into a private school so that you can get a better education, because either one, public school education is just not challenging enough for you, and two, your parents want you to be able to have the opportunity to look at Ivy Leagues, private institutions, and all that nature. So it's like basically grooming you to be able to take that next step. So with that process, is a lot of black kids that I'm around and other kids of color, but when you go to the interview to interview for the private schools, you're looking at a white face. And
is it one person or a panel?
Sometimes it's a panel, sometimes one person, sometimes it's a student, sometimes it depends on that school,
the institution itself.
But for me personally, that was the first time that I realized that there was an educational voice that I had to exude instead of my actual inner voice. And with that, I did get into some private schools. I ended up staying in the public school system just because my parents financially, the aid that I was awarded, it still wasn't enough to cover it. Other kids that I know that was in a program.
And see, that's sad because I think that's a common thing too. But
but the crazy part is that, like, I would say, like, educational wise, I have been blessed being able to utilize the public school system in Philly, because a lot of the kids that I do know that went to those private schools ended up going to state colleges. I went to PIW.
Right.
So it's like I kind of like was groomed for where I was going to go.
Right.
But also dance. I danced in a lot of companies and with a lot of businesses that were very white ballerina,
prestigious,
Asian ballerina.
I can't even say. Is it wrong for me to say prestigious?
No, it is considered. I mean, I still consider, like, I went to.
Is that wrong that I consider? I guess a whitewashed perspective.
Yeah. Prestige.
As prestige.
I mean, I've been to prestigious black dance schools. I danced professionally for a black company, Elion. Shout you out. Uncle Shalomir.
Listen.
That was when I was first introduced to, I can't be my authentic black self in this space because I have to fit. Like, if I do, they're going to look at
it's
me
like a cookie cutter.
Like, I have my hand out that I'm looking for help. And I pride myself with, like, not trying to be anyone's victim.
I'm not your...
Like, no. I'm not your charity case. I'm not your victim.
Charity case is what I think.
And that's just how I am. So, like, if I feel like I feel less than in that space, I just would personally choose not to be in that because it doesn't make me personally feel good.
Okay. All right. So for me, I think that just taking an overall look at my life, right? My very first time. Wow. Okay. The very first time that I ever can recall intentionally code switching was when my mentor, and if you know me, you know my mentor, probably. My mentor was only in my life because I was a delinquent. Okay, I had to be expelled from school to be a part of the program that offered me a mentor. That's number one. But one of the programs she signed me up for, and mind you, I was pregnant at the time, and she knew I was pregnant. I was pregnant with Siani. I was 16 years old, but I've always been intelligent, right? Very misunderstood because what you see in front of you is not like the depth of my...
It's not the Van Gogh.
Right. It's not the depth of the person that I am, but I guess when you don't tone it down, sometimes you can't show what the depth of you is. And I think that's what I learned from it.
That's a key.
Yeah, you don't want to you don't want to wash out your own beauty, right? But she signed me up for United Nations.
I love United Nations.
And before I went, I had no idea what it was. She kind of gave me like a brief overview of what I was going to experience there. But I did not expect to show up and be one of very few black faces. So for me, being a 16-year-old girl that's pregnant, no one knows I'm pregnant. It was something I was hiding. So I'm barfing in the morning, throwing up. The girls don't know why I'm sick. Not being able to tell anyone because I don't want to be judged. Again, so like, right, my first experience with code switching. It's not that I'm hiding that I'm pregnant, but also it's not your business and I don't need your conversation and judgment in this environment, right? Because maybe if it was a different environment, you know, if we was at like a soccer club conference or something, maybe it would have been different and I'd have been more open about my circumstances. But for one of the switches I had to turn off was the fact that I was physically enduring something. I was pregnant. I had to turn that off, okay? Outside of that, it was my first time being away from my family. Not only away from my family, but I'm away from my family, and none of these faces really look like mine. Like, we're far few in between. Like, this room that I'm in is primarily white, sprinkle of Asians, sprinkle of Indians, and then like 1 or 2 black folk, you know? And I'm very boisterous. But I also knew I was hormonal and pregnant, so in my young self trying to find that balance in a room full of people that don't look like me, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna listen and pay attention and be my best self in this room. I didn't dress the way that I normally dress. Why? Because everybody was in fucking suits and pin skirts and things like that. So no, I'm not gonna walk in there with my ripped jeans and this and that. No, because at the end of the day, you know, again, as even we go back to when we was talking about dressing like a hoe, get treated like a city girl, your book sometimes is all that a person can see first to even decide if the cover is all they see before they decide they want to open and read. And right, and for me, it's like I just don't want. It's enough to be a black woman in a white space, right?
So hard.
It's enough to be a woman in a men's space, right?
Right.
It's enough, even more, to be a black woman in a men's space or a white space or, you know, whatever that space may be. And I think for me, in that very first instance, I said to myself, I just don't want to be judged and I don't want the fight. Because when I fight back, I'm angry black woman.
Can we talk about that? Because I
feel like that's a problem also. And with our black and beautiful faces and these white and corporate spaces, because the next thing that I want to touch on is professionalism. Man, it's so funny because now in 2022, black people are like, that's some white shit. And we're going to talk about that. But
yes.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Like,
it's so hard, like, being a black woman in corporate spaces because you have to deal with the microaggressions. You want to advocate for yourself, but you have to...
And don't let you be a pretty black woman in a corporate space.
You have to filter how you advocate for yourself because it's automatically assumed as me talking back saying you crossed the boundary is me being aggressive.
Or I'm angry.
Or I'm angry, or
I'm mad.
I need...
Ooh, mad black woman.
I need a disciplinarian talk, and I have to have...
Or you're emotional.
3 or 4 other colleagues.
Because you're a woman. You gotta be emotional. Because your estrogen is too high.
You can't handle my rebuttals back to you when I'm telling you you're crossing a boundary, and that's not okay. And it's just like, I feel like in corporate spaces, just from experience, black women are always questioned on... You could give someone the right answer, they won't believe you. They'll rebut you, they'll come back to you saying, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
No accountability.
Only for you to be right in the end. There's no apology.
Still, right. No accountability.
There's, well, you were right, but the way that you handled that wasn't the best tone. And it's just like, it's easier for a black man to be in a white space. One, because the threat is already there. They already see from the fence.
You're intimidating.
You
intimidate them already.
The second question is, how did you get into this space? For a black woman, it's, okay, she's beautiful.
Either you fucked or you fought. One of the two.
Or she fought to get here.
Right, you fucked or you fought.
And then you also have to prove why you deserve to be in the room, and I'm not.
Right, you have to prove that you didn't fuck to get in the room, even when you didn't fuck to get in the room. That's the sick part. That's the sick part. I gotta prove that I belong here when you motherfuckers could just sit here and say that.
And it doesn't even just end in white spaces. you have the same approach in black spaces when dealing with other people of power that aren't white, that are people of color. So it's just like, it's a catch-22. I'm damned if I do. I'm damned if I don't.
Kanye? All right.
Well,
All right, guys.
Like he was autistic or something like that, and his mom never knew.
No, he's dyslexic. Isn't it dyslexia? Oh my goodness, I'm probably lying about this man's health. I'm sorry. I don't know what Kanye is, and I'm going to stop saying Kanye. But he be the prime example, especially I feel like in this conversation. So that leads me to this question for you. Do you think professionalism is a whitewash standard?
Yes.
Why?
And the only reason why I say that is because we have prime examples of successful black women and men not having to abide by that standard. Black people have earned majority of their earnings before integrating into the Caucasian standard through networking.
Okay.
Example, Madam C.J. Walker. She got most of her clientele word of mouth.
Okay.
You didn't have to experience me having to
Marketing
filter
and
or
all
market
that.
myself.
Okay.
Because the product spoke for itself.
But, okay, so what about in regards to experience? Because based on what you just said, if you don't get a professional experience as a customer in an establishment, maybe it's just not white standard.
It's a catch-22 because I'm being completely honest. My West Indian family, my Caribbean family, and we go to a restaurant and we know that if the service, if the waiter or the person delivering your food is mad nice, the food is trash as fuck.
Okay, wait, don't even finish that statement because I have to speak on that. Okay, we went to the Jamaican spot in fucking Willingboro, okay? If you know Willingboro, there's not delicious dishes. I'm not talking about delicious dishes. There's a spot near the tavern in like Burlington area or whatever, where the tab used to be. We went in there and this guy was rude, okay? He was fucking K. He was slapping. K. He was fucking rude. But he was rude to where it was like, it's just not a personality trait to me. Like, you're just a nasty motherfucker.
Right.
But, right? I know where I'm at culturally. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, Joe, don't snap, don't say nothing, blah, blah, blah. So as we walk out, I'm like, yo, that motherfucker was rude as hell. My daughter was like, he wasn't rude. He's just Jamaican. So I started laughing, okay? Now, my daughter had a small platter for me. I was so mad. We paid like $14 for this little ass platter. She fucked it up. She loved it, okay? So then we went to this spot in Cherry Hill, okay? This is my second time going there. First time I went there, things wasn't so hot. But the second time we went there, when I got there to pick up my food, we go in, and the lady she's not rude, but she's what I'm used to Caribbeans being like standoffish, don't want to really talk to you. Like, I don't have a reason to have extra conversation until I have a reason. We're not gonna do that. And most people would have taken it as rude because we walked out of that restaurant and my daughter said she was rude as hell. And I'm like,
I'm confused.
She's not rude. She's just Jamaican and this food about to fucking hit. And I came home and I fucked that food up, okay? I was like, I literally had to post on Facebook. I'm like, God, I promise you, if you walk into a Jamaican spot and that motherfucker serving you your food is not rude,
your food ain't slapping.
Your food is nasty. So when my daughter said that lady was rude, I'm like, she wasn't, to me, she just was not rude. She was just nonchalant as fuck. It was like, I'm gonna take your money for your food and I'm gonna tell you what you ordered and that's the fuck it. Like, what the fuck else do you want? Like,
right.
This is a restaurant. Get your shit and get the fuck out. Like, and I wasn't mad at her because in my head I'm like, oh, this fucking mac and cheese and this cab is about to do one thing, okay? That jerk chicken was jerking, bitch, okay? And I was not mad at her to be from Cherry Hill, be from South Jersey. You know you do not find good food like that, ethnic food in fucking Cherry Hill. Well,
she found it.
I wasn't mad that night, okay? I have gone there and been disappointed once before, but I was happy I tried again. And I was very satisfied.
But those businesses
if they not rude,
That's a prime
Bitch,
example.
You ain't got good food. If they not rude, you ain't got good food.
That's a prime example of not.
If they too nice, they making up for something. Okay.
That's a prime example of not following the professional standard because those businesses still thrive. People still go.
So my daughter asked me. She said, "How are they open?" That's what she said to me. She came out and she was like, "How many people do you think came here in the last hour?" And I was like, "Well, see, I told her I don't think a lot, but they charge good. The amount that they charge, which remember when we were talking about how much we just paid, we got 2 platters. I paid $40 fucking, Kayla.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And in today's world with COVID and all of that, that's a lot to just a regular person that should be like, all right, I'm getting 2 sides and a main. I should be spending like $9, should be $20 for 2. Nah.
Not them prices since 2009, okay?
Especially when you got standards and you're not buying from the places that bitches just don't give a fuck, okay? But I explained to her, I said, when you're good at what you do,
you price accordingly.
Not even that. When you're good at what you do and you're providing the service that you advertise, people are going to come back. So I think everybody has to charge what they're worth, right? But you gotta build up to being able to charge that. Don't come out the gate thinking, nah, because I'm against it. Because, bitch, you know how many places I done went to and grabbed the fucking Jamaican platter and paid $20 motherfucking dollars and I came home and threw that shit in the trash? No, bitch, you shouldn't have charged me that. You should have charged me $7 motherfucking dollars. So I could tell your shit was nasty.
Girl.
And a lot of us could tell your shit was nasty. So you could get better and change your fucking recipe. So then you could charge me $17 for the same fucking platter. And I'll go home and I'll be like,
I have this theory. Hear me out. When you have to follow being overly professional, you're either hiding something or you don't have the best
right. But when I say
accountability and ethnic protocol.
Absolutely. But that's why I say when I say providing a service, I'm not talking about professionalism at all. Because their professionalism is shit.
Yeah.
But the service that they provide is giving you good Jamaican cuisine. As long as they do that and do that well, like better than the others, I feel like, and I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, all my Caucasian friends out there, please drop a comment and let us know. But I think black people understand that dynamic a little bit more. Like,
very true.
We don't if my food is good, I don't give a fuck about your attitude. But if my food is mediocre and I'm paying a lot of money, bitch, you better be fucking rolling out the red motherfucking carpet and talking nice to me and all of that. I feel like we understand that there's a barter system. Yeah, there's a give and a take. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I can go to a lounge where maybe the aesthetic isn't great, but the liquor's great, the music's great, the food hits.
Security
they selling food after 3 a.m. They don't close till 4:30. You know what I mean? Like this little niche shit that people wouldn't think about. Like that is important and becomes very, very relevant. And I feel like that's the thing. Like, and I feel like that's the value that's the difference in the value that we see in professionalism versus them.
That's the culture.
We want quality, not service. They want service and quality. They want both, but they don't really even know what quality is in certain aspects. Like, you haven't even been exposed to it because I feel like they're in boxes.
Experience.
And I can't even say that necessarily because they got money to, travel the world and shit. Like, things we've talked about, you know. You're in certain rooms and you have certain opportunities because of, it could be status, it could be income, there's a lot of things that come into play when we talk about that. But I feel like the biggest impactful thing to think about is the simple fact that the way we value it is different.
Right.
And that's why we can appreciate certain things that they can't. And then sometimes you run into those ones that understand and they're like, oh shit, I see that value. Like, I get why you fuck with that, even though X, Y, and Z is not in line. And I think we also understand the struggle and trying to figure it out and not being exposed, like even all the way down to how a person cleans their house. There's certain things that come with money. Like, when you don't have certain things to maintain or you haven't seen people maintain certain things, you don't realize it's a thing. You know how long I lived in my apartment before I realized cleaning vents was a thing?
That's a part of what works. Girl.
I didn't have vents in my house that I grew up in.
Got you. Most of us don't. Let's be completely honest.
But that's just a very simple example.
Yeah.
How can you be mad at me because you walked in my crib and my vent's not clean? When I was never taught to do that, and I didn't even know what the fuck that was for real, and that was something I should be doing. Nobody ever said nothing. So maybe it took for me to be in this apartment for a year before the buildup came, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? What the? Let me look. Bitch, oh, hold up. I should be doing this every week.
Right.
But maybe somebody else come into my apartment and judge me, but the whole time I just was ignorant. We get mad at that word too, ignorance.
But that goes back to why, to a certain extent, you need a balance of both.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, granted, like, if you look back, Black people do set the culture standard. But when it comes to professionalism and how that's applied to people that are non-people of color, they show you that you can cultivate that experience and a quality that's filtered for all, where not only are you getting a coin, or you're getting a level of respect from that entity, that entity and the people that you're trying to uphold and reach out to, and outreach to, but it's also showing you that there's another way that you can reroute that through a system of code switching to make it applicable to all, but in a certain entity of where it's cultivated, where the experience itself is universal.
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree. I can agree with that. I think the biggest thing here is understand that it's a skill.
Not few people have. You will learn through trial and error and being in spaces that you don't feel comfortable with.
A funny show to watch is the code switching episode on Big Mouth. It really is. I think it really like opened my eyes to it. Because I think at first I was thinking of it in the Webster's way for so long that I didn't realize that, like, it's a very extremely useful trait when you are a brown person.
Yeah.
Male, female, Spanish, Black, Indian, don't matter what you are. It's a very useful tool, and I feel like it's a part of social intelligence.
And emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Well...
Yes, because I have to be able to read the room to know who I'm impacting and how my decisions and the way that I articulate how I'm feeling or
are going to be judged and received. You're right.
It's
absolutely. She's right. I agree. And with that, I'm feeling
a jewel.
It's coming. It's the pressure for me. Okay. All right, guys. Because, you know, Demi always gotta drop one. All right. And this is one of my ones that's partially finished because, of course, I was too busy getting like,
She got it.
Okay. So, code switching is a skill, like typing or writing. It's often a choice for benefit and may not always be exciting. Understand this is a tool and not a mechanism to be manipulated or abused. Those ones who question code switching may have a whole lot confused. Your room determines the opportunity available, and how you act most times determines your success. Not to say someone from the hood can't handle boardrooms, but in those rooms, education is like knowing how to play chess. Everyone needs to see who you are and also understand what you bring to the table. But you can't let everything else that you have going on basket out and not show people that you're able. Understand that in today's world, code switching may be key, especially for the brown face. Yes, and sometimes, okay, we have to have that skill in order to get into the right place. The right place for you may not be the right place for me, so understand my code switch and your code switch may not be key. They may be very different, The beauty is in the success that's achieved. Do what you gotta do to get to that bag, boo. And understand that you can have multiple use. Because I'm Jewel, and I'm Demi, and I'm Jay, and she K, and she K Bags,
and I'm Kayla.
Oh, wait, but then y'all don't even hear it, right? Because you just hear Kayla, but she has the
White
American Kayla, the
Caribbean
Caribbean Kayla, the able to be in boardrooms with the Caucasians Kayla. Okay?
Just know your place.
Not to mention,
Be
she
the
like them foreign kinds.
I know
She
your
different
place.
than me, okay?
But at the end of the day, you got two things that determine your wealth and your potential: integrity and character. Don't compromise neither one of them.
Your morals. Hold on to those. Because at that point, when you change your morals, you a fake bitch. You are. You are. If I'm against showing my titties in public, and I decide today I'm going to show these titties in public, I'm a fake bitch, okay? I put my morals to the side because the bag was big enough. Well, at that point, bitch, you different. Yeah, are your morals even the same? Are you still even the same?
Who are you?
Does your leaders and guys look at you
Whether
the
the money
same?
stays or goes.
Right.
That's who you should be in every space that you are. You just filter the experience. That's it. That's literally it.
Again, we never trying to tell you what to do. We just trying to give you something new to think about. As always,